Alright, here we go. Alright, welcome back to episode 3 of the Pass Interference Podcast. Caleb Campero's back with us this week. We got a new full-time member of the podcast, my roommate Brendon Paul, big Oklahoma State fan, big college football connoisseur, of course, Evan Rodriguez, myself, Brendon Preco. Welcome back to another episode of the podcast.
Whole gang, we're here for
Whole
once.
gang after
Whole
all.
gang's here.
Lots of upsets last week.
Lots of upsets. Awesome.
So, lots of upsets, obviously. So let's just talk about what stood out to you guys in week 2.
I guess I'll start down here. Obviously, App State, Marshall, and Georgia Southern. Sun Belt, lots of action for them. Georgia Southern beating Nebraska and getting Scott Frost fired. App State with their big win. I forgot who they played. Texas A&M. At Texas A&M, and then Marshall beating Notre Dame. So obviously a big week there, and of course Arizona State losing to Oklahoma State. And Kentucky with a big win. Go Wildcats for me. So that was probably the biggest win of the weekend.
Yeah, mine was Marshall over Notre Dame. I said they were frauds. They did not disappoint. They played terribly.
I think we said that they were for real.
It's going to be a rough week because they lost their quarterback, didn't they?
Yeah,
he's out for a couple months. So I feel like that was the biggest upset of the week was Marshall over Notre Dame.
What about the Baylor BYU nightcap? That was a thriller.
It was a great game.
Taken into a couple overtimes, a couple missed kicks, but I mean that was kind of the theme of the weekend.
I was kind
in
of
college.
impressed by BYU because they were out of their 2 wide receivers, their 2 top receivers, and they still won. Still managed to win.
I mean, hey, and they win. Their kicker missed 2 clutch field goals to win it in regulation, and then win it in overtime. But it doesn't matter. They get it done and shock a top 10 team in Baylor, who I thought had a chance to compete for the Big 12.
I think for me, it was definitely Notre Dame falling to Marshall. Now, I didn't think Notre Dame was going to be like competitive this year, but I mean, when you lose to Marshall at home and you're paying to play Marshall,
A lot of money.
It's just like I feel like people might lose faith in Marcus Freeman a little bit. But I don't think they should panic. But at the same time, it's a big step down from wherever they thought they were going to be this year. So for me, I think that was just the biggest disappointment. At least, besides I thought Texas was going to pull out the win, but it's fine. It's fine.
I saw an interesting statistic actually that some upsets of the weekend, teams that pulled off the upset, collectively, all of those teams were paid $3.5 million to go play teams that they ended up beating.
That's right.
That was very
Shout out the Sun. Winner of the week is the Sun Belt.
They got the
There
bag
was
this
something that
weekend.
said if you put like $100 down, you would have won like some insane amount if you bet on all.
Yeah,
There
like
we go.
6 figures.
Let's get a Sun Belt parlay next week.
We'll get to that later.
So if Quinn Ewers doesn't get hurt, does Texas beat Alabama?
I think so.
Yeah, 100%.
100%?
Yeah. Well, because you also think that their backup quarterback was also hurt too.
Right.
He was playing on a limp. I'm not exactly sure what happened with him. Probably an ankle, but Quinn Ewers isn't fantastic, but he's good enough to lead that offense. You saw what he did there in the first half.
He was playing fantastic.
Bama
He
was
was
just
playing really well, and I think to kind of get along with the Alabama thing. The thing is, for me as a Georgia fan, I mean, I know this pretty well. They were willing to call penalties, which was a big reason that Texas was still in the game. Because normally Alabama does not get penalties called.
they were very undisciplined.
It was the most accepted penalties, 14 in the Nick Saban era. So.
Like Will Anderson, their best player, had I think 2 offsides in 1 drive. That was
He did.
pretty costly. Yeah.
2 offsides in 3 plays.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think they do win that game if Quinn Ewers.
I think Texas arguably wins that game if that penalty was not
The safety.
The safety.
Yeah.
That
It was
was
a safety.
like
It was a safety.
it was a safety. So I mean that gives them the 2 points. I don't know how that affects the game because Texas would have ended up getting the ball back after that. But
Right.
I mean, leave it to Bama. Leave it to Bryce M to march down
Yes,
the field.
because if the ball also never went out of the end zone, it would have been intentionally rounded.
No, but
I saw
so if it gets tips, it's not intentionally rounded.
They called roughing the passer and targeting.
They dropped the roughing.
They dropped the roughing the roughing the passer was not actually roughing the passer because the other officials said something. It was just targeting, but he misheard him.
Yeah.
He roughing the passer. So the roughing the passer wasn't actually roughing the passer. Was just targeting.
And it wasn't even targeting.
They didn't end up sticking with the target, right?
No.
No.
What did they end up saying? What was it?
punted on 4th down. They just wiped out the whole
Yeah.
play.
Yeah.
Because
You just gotta wave off the
if
flag.
it's not targeting, it was just an incomplete pass.
Texas would 100% have won that game if Quinn Ewers would have been in. 105,000 strong, they were rolling in the second half. There's no doubt in my mind they would have won that game. Unfortunate to see an electric player like him get injured.
Absolutely.
Brutal.
Now, with all that said, though, Bryce Young still marked down the field.
That's what he
still
did.
showed why he should be respected. So that's all I'm going to say about that.
That's a pro drive.
Number 6 for Texas should probably lead the state because he
That
missed the
was-
sack, and he also had a key penalty earlier in the game. I think it was a pass interference in the first half, and Alabama actually scored on that drive. It was like a 3rd and it actually might have been. I wonder if it was I don't know if it's the late hit out of bounds or the pass interference, but and then he missed a sack, so he really cost the team.
So we talked about the upsets. What was like the biggest win of the weekend that wasn't like a massive upset? One that you think was kind of under the radar, but was a pretty impressive win.
I really don't think that the Kentucky one was talked about as much as it should be because Florida's a really good team, and it's very difficult to go into Florida and win in that game. You saw that with Utah. Plus, a lot of people don't know, if you don't follow the SEC on a weekly basis, that Kentucky lost around 20 consecutive games to Florida before. Yeah, they beat them back-to-back times in the swamp. So the last 2 times they played in Florida, they had beaten them, which is very impressive. Obviously, being a very hard place to play, and in the way Anthony Richardson played in Week 1. You know, Anthony, I know you talked about it over there. He played fantastic, and Florida's a good team. So I think that was a little under the radar win for me.
Yeah, I would say the same because Anthony Richardson, he did great Week 1, and then they made him just look like a fool in Week 2. Like you can see here, he had a 3.8 QBR, which is horrendous. So I feel like Kentucky's defense is actually really good, and I feel like they were a big part of that win. So I feel like Kentucky's a very underrated team. I think.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
feel like they could make some noise in the SEC. So that's really cool.
One of my friends is going to be happy with this, but I think an under the radar win was Kansas this weekend, knocking off West Virginia. I mean, they scored 55 points. They now have, I think it's the 3rd highest scoring offense in the FBS, and they've looked really good. Lance Leipold's taken that program a whole step above what they were last year, and they actually look like a team that can compete in the Big 12 and not just finish 10th like they do every year, year in and year out.
We'll see about that.
Yeah.
They're 2-0, right?
2-0, yeah.
Yeah.
So I would say besides those obvious upsets, I was going to go with Kentucky, Florida. But I think another one that sort of got some news, but Georgia Southern over Nebraska. I mean, it was just the Scott Frost era in Nebraska. It has since been done. And good for Georgia Southern. You know,
Yeah.
new head coach, first year head coach in Clay Helton. You know, just good for them going on the road. They were on the road and
Yes.
just getting a win in Lincoln and moving on to the next week and putting the end of the Scott Frost era. So for Nebraska, I think it was time. I think it was time a long time ago. Georgia Southern, great win, new head coach, just trying to revamp the program a little bit. So just all around good times in Georgia.
It is. And
Yeah.
speaking of Scott Frost, they paid him. If they had waited until the first day of October, they would have paid him $1.5 million less.
They
No,
ended up-
it
they ended up
was
paying him-
It was 7.5
Yeah.
million.
Seven and a half.
Jeez.
That's insane. Like, I mean, you gotta assume that a big donor or a few were like, yeah,
It's
we'll
time.
pay
We'll
for
pay,
it.
yeah.
We'll pay for it. Just get him out of here.
It's long.
That happened with Georgia, actually, with Mark Rick. One of the big donors came in and paid out Mark Rick's contract, and he said we need a new coach, and then we got Kirby Smart. So hopefully Nebraska can get somebody good.
Yeah.
So
I would say Nebraska was top 15. Top 15. If every coaching position was open, I'd say. I think I saw another podcast. I forgot which one it was. I saw it on TikTok.
The Pass
But they were-
Interference
I think it
podcast?
was. I think no, not but so I think it was the Unnecessary Roughness podcast where they were like, they could argue top 15 like coaching job in the nation, and I could
The
honestly
fans
agree
are
with
the
that.
fans are so loyal.
Yeah,
That's the thing.
You know, I think if you can get Lincoln, Nebraska going rowdy, like I think that's a great
They
job to
have.
have. But
They are, but I think it's a tough program to sell right now
Right.
because here's the thing: they are historically a phenomenal program, and I know all about it. Like my grandparents are from Nebraska, so they're big Nebraska fans. They were happy that Frost was gone, and they just have one of the most loyal fan bases in college football. But at the same time, your recruits, because me personally, I can't. Nebraska was good for like a year or two in like 2016-ish.
Right.
But besides that, I personally can't remember a time where like Nebraska was like really good. And I'm older than any of the recruits are gonna be. So it's hard. It's kind of like Indiana and basketball a little, where they are like a blue blood program, but your recruits don't know the full extent of the success that program has had before, because it was a while ago, so it's harder to sell.
Yeah.
And plus, a lot of college kids, not all, but don't necessarily want to go to Lincoln, Nebraska.
Right.
No.
There's nothing
Compared to other
No
markets.
way.
Right.
But it is a very good program. So it's a tough job. It's a job where you have your expectations, and on the outside it looks like really fluffy. You know, you got sellouts every game, you got a lot of money, a passionate fan base. Same time though, the recruiting's a little bit tough. You're competing in the Big Ten, but it'll be interesting to see.
Well, they were good early 2010s. They made the Tax Slayer Gator Bowl a couple times because George played them a few times down there in Jacksonville. So it's not like they haven't not been to bowl games recently.
Right.
They're really just. I mean, compared to what they were in the 80s
Correct.
and 90s, so they're not even close to expectations.
So one that I thought was a little not more impressive than any of the wins that we mentioned, but I thought USC not winning necessarily, but how they won.
Won pretty easily.
They won pretty easily. The score made it look closer than the game was. They gave up 2 touchdowns in the fourth and borderline garbage time. I'm pretty sure most of the starters were out. But that's a tough game for USC to go at Stanford. Conference game early in the year, and plus, like I mentioned earlier, those aren't games that USC, even when they're good, typically just dominates. They usually struggle with like playing at Stanford. I'm sure Caleb can tell, being a USC fan.
It's not, well, former USC
Former.
fan. I like to say former. Go Sun Devils. But it's never been an easy time for USC to go up to the Farm, and when you have the historic, I don't want to say historic, but just great games, you know, Jim Harbaugh versus Pete Carroll, you know, it's historically a pretty smash mouth football game. It's not very high scoring. I mean, I was there and I want to say it was like 2014 or something. No, it must have been like 2012. When like they went to like 3 overtimes, Curtis McNeil fumbles the ball, Stanford recovers, they win at the Coliseum. So yeah, definitely not an easy place to play if you're USC, is going into Stanford. It's the beginning of the year, the stadium wasn't too packed, school doesn't start for another couple of weeks over there up in Palo Alto, but yeah, never easy to go up to Stanford, and to win the way they did was, I mean, if you're a USC fan, winning the way you did at Stanford like that, you're pretty excited. Now, I have my own thoughts about that game that I'll touch on if we ever get there later.
So wrapping up week 2, BP touched on it earlier, but BYU's win, very impressive, tough place to play. It was one of the best crowds we've seen in this early season, and I think BYU is a legit playoff contender. With their schedule, they have enough opportunities for quality wins. If they win out, where they would have, if they were to win out, I'm not saying I think they will, but if they were to, they would have a better resume than Cincinnati did last year. And so obviously beating Baylor, and I think Baylor's a very good team. I don't really knock them that hard for this loss to a very good BYU team in a very, very tough environment to play in. So what do you guys think about that?
I mean, obviously, like you said, BYU is a very tough place to play. I mean, you know, you see a lot of ranked teams, even Arizona State last year went in there and struggled mightily. Obviously, they're very passionate about their football up there, and they know they have a good team. And like you said, their schedule is tough. You know, about halfway through the season, about their 7th or 8th game, they've got Arkansas at home, which will be an interesting spot. You know, over there in October. It's normally the SEC schedule is in full effect, but that's gonna be a tough game. If they win out, especially if they beat Arkansas, they can definitely be a playoff contender, like you said, with a lot of tough games. You know, even playing Notre Dame. I think that's game played at a neutral location that says and they play Oregon. So
Yeah, this weekend.
This week.
yeah, Oregon this weekend, which should be very tough. New head coach Dan Lanning. So I think if they went out, I think they would definitely look at me in the playoffs.
I would say the same. Again, like I said earlier, they played without their 2 top receivers and they still won. So adding those 2 pieces, I feel like will be very, very beneficial for them. Also, this dude Chase Roberts that they have, he's pretty good too. I'm pretty sure he had like
Yeah.
8 catches.
Yeah, more than 8
100
catches. He had
like
double-digit catches.
double-digit catches, 100-something yards and a touchdown. He seems pretty good. It's just we're gonna see along the way because you said it. They have some tough games. Oregon coming up. Utah State maybe. If you give them a challenge.
Well, maybe
Utah
they're
State
at
got destroyed.
It's at BYU as well, so
Yeah.
that's gonna be a very difficult game.
Then
So we'll see about that one.
Arkansas at Stanford at the end could be maybe pretty difficult, but I would say the same. If they went out, they most definitely have a chance of the college football playoff, but you have to win out first. So.
Yeah, a lot of people wrote them off early. I mean, when on the betting lines for that South Florida game in Tampa, they were only favored by like 10.5, and they go out there
About 30.
drop 50 on them. But it's a tough schedule to win out. You've got a couple of top 25 teams in there with Oregon and Arkansas, as we alluded to. Notre Dame as well. It's a tough game on the road, correct? They play in South Bend.
It's neutral.
It's
Neutral
neutral.
site.
Our statistician Ethan Kaplan is working out to figure. Have you found out the answer yet?
It's in Vegas. Allegiant
Allegiant
Allegiant Stadium,
Ooh.
Vegas. Okay.
Well, yeah, and BYU. I mean, the
They'll
Cougar,
travel.
the Cougar Tails were flying at that game against Baylor. They'll travel
Yeah.
very well, especially to Vegas.
You talking about the donut? Or
Oh, yeah,
the donut.
They'll be
Yeah.
more BYU fans.
Those were flying. Oh yeah, Notre Dame, especially after starting 0-2, they're gonna
First
drop
time,
Wilson.
by the way, that any Notre Dame head coach has ever started 0-3 in his career. First time ever.
Probably the most hyped Notre Dame coach to do so as well, coming into
Well,
last
because he's
bowl
the
season.
only one.
Yeah, that's true. Exactly. But BYU, I mean, I don't see them winning out personally. I think one of those games they'll drop. But you're right. They have a much better resume than the Bearcats did last year.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I just don't see them winning out with all the tough games they have.
Yeah.
I got to agree with most of what you guys said, but BP stuck out the most when he said, I think they're going to drop a game. The one circled on my calendar is definitely the Arkansas game because that's going to definitely define if you're CFP ready or not. And I mean, they're independent, right? Independent, BYU.
Yes,
Yeah,
BYU is
that's,
independent,
that's
yes.
independent versus SEC. We've seen how that goes down with Notre Dame and SEC opponents. So
Great
you know.
stuff.
Yeah. But yeah, that's going to be the defining game for them. If they can put up a pretty convincing win against Arkansas and win out on top of that, then sure, put them in. I don't care. I loved to see Cincy last year in the playoff. They didn't
Yeah,
really
me too.
play the closest game, but
I didn't think
I
they played
enjoyed
bad.
watching it.
They didn't play
I
bad.
thought
They
they
played
thought
pretty well.
they gave them a shot. I didn't think they played like horrible like I've seen an Oklahoma team play, a Notre Dame team play. It sounds like I'm talking about crap, but just with that said, throw BYU in there if they can win out and beat Arkansas like handily, or depending on how they play against Oregon this week, it's still kind of early in the season. By all means.
Are we gonna pick that game later?
Yes.
All right, good.
I mean, they put OU in 2019, and look what that did. Got 70 dropped on them.
That was a great game, though. That was a great.
It was a great game for me to watch the Sooners get 70 dropped on my.
That was
Yeah, we didn't score 70, but we were close. I think we scored 63. Great game, though.
Yeah. Who's better, App State or Marshall? The question everyone wants to
Historically
know.
or now?
No, right now. This
App
year.
State.
I would say upset.
App State. They
App
almost
State,
beat North
by far.
Carolina, and they beat Texas A&M.
Okay, I'm gonna say App State because I think they beat a better Texas A&M team than a Notre Dame team. So that's for me. That's what defines it for me. But when I was hearing the post-game interview with the Marshall coach and what he's done at that program to really gain the players' trust, they bought into him,
Yeah.
go into South Bend and win. Like it really wants me to say Marshall, but I think App State's they're the better team.
App
But
State would beat Marshall.
I think I think they would, but I mean,
Double
it's just the only reason why I hesitate is I can't think of their coach's name right now. But when I was hearing his post-game interview, when I was watching that Notre Dame Marshall game, I was like, that's a coach who you want leading your team, where they have bought into you and you've bought into them, and That's what you want to hear. But I will say, you see the App State coaches like get teared up because he's an App State alum. Like, that's about the same thing. So maybe now I'm thinking more.
Yeah, shout out App State. College Game Day is going there this week.
Dude, that is
Carolina.
electric.
Boom is a great town.
I will be
yeah.
Taking on the Troy Trojans.
Yeah, Troy against App State. Yeah, and actually that game's on ESPN Plus, which is kind of strange. I think that might be the first time College Game Day was there has been streamed on ESPN Plus. So there you go.
Okay, so you guys mentioned the Florida-Kentucky game earlier, Anthony Richardson's struggles. Obviously, he went from one of the better quarterback performances of the year against Utah to one of the worst. Which game was more of a fluke, do you think?
Which game was more of a fluke?
For him, personally.
I don't think either of them were a fluke. I think he is a good quarterback. He's very mobile and quick. But I don't think anybody's really talking about the Kentucky defense. I think the Kentucky defense is good. They have been good since Marcus Dukes has been there. And they're just tough defense to play. And I don't think that Utah game is fluke. I think Utah's good. But Anthony Richardson he's a good player. And, you know, for me that has seen and watched a lot of Florida football and a lot of Anthony Richardson, I think he's a good player. Everybody has their bad games. You look at C.J. Stroud against Notre Dame, he didn't play fantastic against a good team. Everybody just has that one game, and I think nobody really talks about the Kentucky defense, and they should.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. Like I said, I was kind of on the Anthony Richardson train. Like, I know he did play bad, but like Cooper said, that Kentucky defense is pretty good, and they can get after him. But I feel like he'll make the adjustments, and I feel like he'll be pretty good throughout the rest of the season. So I feel like he'll be fine.
Yeah, I think out of the two, I think more out of the norm was the Kentucky game for him because this is a much improved Florida team from last year. Like, they almost lost to Samford last year, which shows you just how far from the bottom they've come this year, starting unranked and now they're in the top 20. So I think Anthony Richardson will bounce back, especially later into this SEC schedule.
I think he's going to settle in just fine. The kid's still a sophomore. Like, you got to remember that.
He played last year, so
you know,
he didn't really have to do much settling in.
Right. With that said, I don't know. For me, he's still young. I know he's kind of has a season under his belt. Now 2 big games against top 25 opponents under his belt already. So, like, I understand when people are kind of like, all right, kid, like let's get the ball rolling a little bit. Like, it's week 2. Just came off this big win. I mean, intercepted twice in the Kentucky game versus he got intercepted no times against Utah. So I definitely think that plays a factor in it, obviously. But like you said, that Kentucky defense is a lot, I think, better than Utah's defense. And I mean, I know they lost to Kentucky, but I mean, they didn't lose by like 2 touchdowns or more. They lost by 10. So I don't think it's like, let's start hitting the Florida panic button. I think he's going to be fine. I think, you know, that Kentucky team is a lot better than I think people still just are giving them credit for. So I think Florida's going to be fine. I think Anthony Richards is going to be fine. I think he's going to bounce back. You know, the kid has shown he can come in the clutch. So.
Well, he's going to have to do it quick because they have a very difficult schedule coming up. Tennessee.
They play Tennessee.
They play Tennessee in 2 weeks at Tennessee. And then, of course, you know, when you get to, you know, October.
Big time SEC.
You know, it's going to be, you know, you better buckle up.
Right.
It's really quickly.
I think he's just good. I think he's going to be fine.
And also, one of the interceptions was inside the Kentucky 30, so that was a really big interception.
So, talking about SEC, let's switch over to the Big Ten, and a team we kind of were a little hard on last week, Michigan. Do we think their non-conference strength of schedule will end up hurting them down the line, whether it's they're sitting with 1 loss only to Ohio State, and they're on the borderline of being in the playoffs or not, and looking at the rest of the body of work, or whether it's just them not being prepared going into conference play without having like not even a real test, but without playing a bottom top 10 team in college football, because that's what their schedule's made of, 3 bottom top 10
Well, you
teams.
talk about Colorado State, Hawaii, and UConn, all really terrible teams. Their schedule is probably, you know, they're not going to set one of the worst in the whole country, I would say, or at least in Power 5. I mean, when you talk about, you know, scheduling like cupcakes. These are literally cupcakes. I mean, I'm sure Andrew Cervantes' modern day high school football team could go out there and beat UConn, could go out there and beat Hawaii, could go out there and beat Colorado State.
Shout out Modern Day.
I'm literally telling you this right now. I'm sure they could beat one of those teams. I mean, I'm not kidding
They can
when I
both
say
race
that.
Hawaii.
Yeah, they can. I mean, Vandy rushed for over 400 yards on Hawaii. Lord only knows what modern day would do to Hawaii, but their schedule's terrible, and they will come back to play. I don't even think they're going to win out. Michigan's going to win out anyways, and I can see the next thing on there is their quarterback, and I don't know who it's going to be, but both of them are just mediocre.
Yeah, I would say the same. Having this schedule really is going to hurt them because I feel like when you get to Penn State, you get back-to-back tough weeks with Penn State and then Michigan State.
They're both at home, but
They are both at home, but they're still tough opponents. And then you got Ohio State, obviously, at the end, which I feel like Ohio State's going to punch them in the mouth, I feel like.
Ethan, could you look up what the largest margin of victory in a Michigan-Ohio State game is?
Oh,
Because
it's
we
been
might
that
beat
one.
it. We might.
I feel like
That's
punch
like
them in the mouth.
that's a little
There's,
extreme.
there's probably a matchup in the 40s where it was
Rob,
70.
like Georgia Tech way back when they beat Cumberland 226 to nothing at Georgia Tech.
Largest victory in 1902.
Right.
Yeah.
Michigan won 86 to nothing.
Oh my
Okay,
goodness
well, we're not gonna get
gracious.
that. We're not gonna get there, but
But
still.
yeah, I feel like just having this easy of a schedule doesn't really benefit you in terms of like trying to make your name in the college football playoffs. So
Maybe it won't matter as much when they expand, but right now.
well,
Right
yeah,
now,
right
yes.
now, yeah. Which I don't even think. I feel like they could possibly drop 2 games because I feel like they're gonna lose to Ohio State.
Oh, 100%.
And then
But both of the-
one these
both
two
their
I
big
feel like
games
they're
are at
gonna
home.
draw, so.
Yeah, I mean,
At Iowa could be tough.
That's exactly where I was gonna go with mine.
Yeah.
It's just like, I get it, Iowa lost to Iowa State, okay, but like, dude, Iowa's not an easy place to play.
Their defense,
Yeah, but all you have
their defense is
to
good.
do is score a touchdown and you win the game.
Their
That's
defense
it.
is
that's
really
not
good.
even easy
it's,
to do.
it's tough
like
against
their
their
offense.
defense.
No, yeah.
Their offense is just very.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, at least that's for me.
The
I'm
kids are
sorry,
spreading
sorry. I know
magic
BP. I know
powers.
BP was next, but
Oh no, you're all set.
But I mean, at Iowa, you can easily get exposed at Iowa.
Oh, yeah.
Penn State can. I think Penn State always has a signature win every season. So and if that's either Ohio
So
State or
does
Michigan,
Iowa. And
and yeah,
so
that's
the middle of the
exactly.
season.
So I think their schedule is definitely on the either side, especially with 8 home games. I believe it is right. Rico?
Yes.
8 home games.
Eight home games.
Yeah. So
Iowa, Indiana, Rutgers, Ohio State. the other
their
ones.
season ticket holders are getting their money's worth this year. That's for
Yeah.
sure. But with that said, there's definitely places on this schedule where if they're gonna get exposed before that Ohio State game, it's gonna either happen. I'm gonna say Iowa or Penn State, and of course Michigan State. Well, yeah, but
Yeah, Mel
you know,
Tucker.
Michigan State, a Mel Tucker-led Michigan State team will, if they want to, will go and like pound Michigan, and I hope they do. But I think there's plenty of spots where they're going to get exposed. If they do, if they don't, then Ohio State's going to have to do it. And I think if Ohio State does it enough where they do beat them by a pretty substantial margin, then I think I think that might possibly keep the committee out of letting Michigan in the top 4, especially if like somebody like USC wins out.
Yeah, this is not a good schedule, and no offense to the Mountain West, but like Colorado State and Hawaii, that's not your finest products. If you're gonna play someone from the Mountain West, play Boise State, play
Right.
Fresno State.
Yeah, Fresno
I mean,
State, San Diego State.
Play
maybe.
Air Force, play Wyoming. I mean, U of A.
Wyoming's bad.
U of A beat San Diego State, so on the downfall they are. But anyway, I feel like the ideal out of conference schedule for a team like this in the top 25, play a Power 5 team, ranked or unranked, play a Group of 5 team that's at least solid CS, because I mean that's the future of football. You got to keep these local programs getting, keep these programs
Youngstown State.
get money for their program. I mean, it just builds their foundation, gets them better products.
James Madison even. Now they're FBS
They're-
now.
Exactly.
It was showcasing.
All the years of them getting paid $2 million to go to Blacksburg and beat Virginia Tech is finally paying off.
That's right. Honestly,
Oh my God.
I agree. Their
Yeah.
schedule sucks.
Well,
And
yeah,
their
it's
their
awful.
whole-
It's awful.
I knew this was a little
Case.
premature, but the next thing, the quarterbacks.
We get into it.
They're bad. Was it Jake McCarthy? JJ McCarthy and
Cade McNamara.
Cade McNamara's okay. JJ McCarthy not very good.
JJ McCarthy is extremely talented. JJ is good.
I think JJ's good, but I think they're overhyping him a little bit. Not gonna lie.
They could be. It's tough to see actual real game film on them.
Yeah, because the game film they have right now is like watching them play a high school team.
That's
not good. Sorry.
And
What a
then
fan Andrew over there.
Elijah Brown would throw like 300 plus yards on him or what?
I think so.
You think so?
Team they got this year.
But I think the quarterback situation. I think McNamara is the way to go right now, just because the experience. But
they went with JJ. That's who they're going with.
Right, but I think me personally,
You go with
Cade McNamara.
I would go with McNamara.
Well,
But I'm not.
we were talking about this. I don't know if we talked about this on the show or not, but of course, both quarterbacks are going to do well. I mean, they're playing Hawaii and
that's why I
Colorado
was saying-
State.
Yeah, they make them look
I mean,
amazing.
I could probably beat those two teams.
You can definitely be the Y. That's what
Bird's a QB.
All-
Lock it in.
Ben Crowder, my NCAA football 14 dynasty, would throw like 500 yards.
I mean, Mike Wright put up 63 points, and I'm not saying Mike Wright's bad.
Yeah, Vandy ran for 400 yards in Hawaii.
I mean, just up and down. He ran like a read option for like 85 yards, completely fooled everybody. No one in sight. I mean, it's just an awful defense. But, that's just what you have with a first-year coach in a struggling program.
Or just Hawaii in general.
They used to be good.
Yeah, in 2008 Sugar Bowl.
2008,
Cole Brendon.
2008
Cole
Sugar
Brendon.
Bowl, yeah.
They-
That's right.
they were like a top 10 team.
Yeah, we murdered them in the Sugar Bowl.
You guys did.
Hey, Colt Brennan, 58 touchdowns, though.
Yeah. Caleb? Michigan
No.
quarterback situation?
I mean, yeah, I would go to with McNamara from
Right.
what I've seen, but again, they haven't had much competition. I'm not at Michigan practice every day, so I couldn't really tell you what the.
I thought
things
Cade
were.
McNamara played pretty good in the Orange Bowl.
I thought so too, but
He's a game manager.
Yeah.
And which it did well for him last year. But the thing is, he misses a lot of throws that JJ makes. JJ is way more talented. It's about experience, just his talent.
Right.
A lot of the fan base wants. Literally, I think all the fan base that I've seen wants JJ McCarthy.
I mean, look at the Orange Bowl tape from last year. Cade played pretty well. He played pretty well.
but that's the thing for me. I've seen the guy play. I really haven't seen JJ play much,
Exactly.
And so honestly, from what my experience, I'm gonna say I want to go McNamara, but
Right.
I would probably have to watch more Michigan football to get an understanding of how
Cade
JJ is
could
playing.
get
So
benched. Do you think he could get benched for JJ?
Like he wasn't. That's the thing too. Is there was a press conference. Neither of them seemed very happy about. No, because Cade had said he wasn't expecting there to be a competition necessarily, in the sense of he wasn't expecting not to start in a game this year.
Right.
Hawaii. He wasn't expecting McCarthy to get tried out for a full game like that. And it sounded like he was a low side. And I understand that. I mean, you just won Michigan's first Big Ten title since the divisions formed. That was the first time they made the Big Ten championship game since the divisions were formed. Obviously a playoff appearance. Granted, they got smoked, but it's still a playoff appearance.
Right.
And beating Ohio State, which they haven't done in a while. And so doing that kind of felt like he earned his spot, which he has a point. I mean, that's something no other Michigan quarterback has done in a while. So, and obviously whoever plays against UConn, or will be JJ McCarthy, is going to look great against UConn. So
shout out
Maybe
to
not
Scott
Vandy.
Stanley.
Vandy almost lost to UConn last year at home.
It was Vanderbilt, though, and last year.
And
not
it was
even
pouring
this year.
down rain.
I'm not
what
gonna
could
take
get
anything
worse?
from a team with a terrible logo. How bad could you make a V?
Vandy?
Yeah.
What?
No,
it's
yeah,
it's
they-
growing. It's
they-
growing
I don't
on.
like
Yeah, a little bit.
They should have never changed.
It's growing.
All right, that's
on.
off topic. That's off topic.
Vanderbilt.
Leave for Vandy. Let's go.
okay. So Nebraska, I know we talked about them earlier, but any candidates you'd like to see for the next coach, or is it too early?
Oh my
I think
goodness.
it's too early. I mean, as of right now, nobody really comes to mind.
I've seen one interesting name.
Bob
floated around.
Stoops.
Bob. Oh, I did hear about
Bob
Bob Stoops.
Stoops.
You know, I did hear
That's
that.
not the one. I
No, he's locked into the XFL.
Who are you gonna say?
Urban Meyer.
I heard
okay.
it.
No.
Oh,
I saw something that was like, okay.
He's going to ASU.
No, I didn't see that.
I saw that. I saw that.
I don't know about that either.
I'll get to that in a second.
But the thing was like, if Nebraska wants a big time coach to come in and try to like get things going pretty
Dude, he would do
quickly,
good.
you would need. He know that's a guy
He would
who
do
knows the
good.
Big Ten. He knows the Big Ten. He's a big time signee. I don't know after past bar experiences how donors
or
how
kicking.
donors
I
gonna
don't think
feel.
they
Or
would
yes,
care.
or
Nebraska?
you know, I don't know how people are gonna feel about that, but the donors might be desperate. People might be desperate out there. I'm sure they are.
I think that they're very desperate.
Yeah.
I don't think they
So,
would really care.
I
don't think it'd be an
mean,
issue.
throw a bone at Urban Meyer and see what he says.
I
you
saw
know.
Urban Meyer at ASU. I'm not kidding.
That's
Meyer.
insane.
I got
That's
a text
insane.
from I got a text from my grandpa like a week ago. It was like,
what?
"You that Urban Meyer might go to ASU." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" I
I-
googled it.
Dude, I
Came
saw that
up.
too. Bro, I sat down for a job interview, and the first thing the lady asked me, because she saw I was a sports journalist major, she's like, "So what do you think about the rumors of Urban Meyer going to Arizona State?"
I've been pretty keeping with the football program lately, and
Really?
this is the first time I'm hearing about that.
I
I feel like I'm living under a rock now.
TSA's gotten in, man. They know all of it.
Jeez.
If Urban Meyer
knows
became our
everything.
football coach,
Tracking
I think I
slides.
would stop going to games.
You would stop?
I think that would be electric. I think that would be electric.
That'd be amazing.
He hates him from his
I
Florida
hate
days,
Urban
though.
Meyer.
Oh,
He hates him
yeah.
from
Yeah.
Florida days.
Yeah.
His dad booed him at a
Cleveland.
Cleveland game. Cleveland MLB game.
It
Wow.
was the Indians at the time.
Yeah,
I'm
at the
saying.
time, it was the early 2010s, so.
Yeah, I do not like Urban Meyer at all.
I don't know.
Can't stand the guy.
I can't say I see much changing at ASU, but
We already have a bunch of NCAA investigations. Why bring
That
this
is
guy
true.
in?
No, that's that's very valid.
Why make it worse?
I won't touch too much on
Yeah,
ASU
that-
right now.
that's-
But
yeah.
you know,
Okay, so one thing I wanted to do with this, we all submitted our polls earlier today or yesterday, and so I wanted to bring up some teams where I saw there was some people had them really high, or some polls that we submitted had them pretty low. So I'll start out, Michigan State, the highest they were ranked in a poll from one of us was 10, and the lowest
Put him at 10?
was 14. So do you think they're closer to top 10, or do you think they're more yet to be proven?
14. We'll see this weekend. True road
We
game.
will see this
Yeah,
weekend. It's
true
a
road
big
game
game.
against Washington.
Yeah, I think they're about a halfway mark. I think they're about a 12 on that list.
Well, I already know that
I can see that.
he's
Yeah, I
going to
feel like
pick
they're
Washington, so he's probably going to put him at the lower end of the
Oh,
spectrum.
look at this guy.
Or actually might put him number 1, so when they beat him, it just looks better.
right? Yeah, no, I'd say about their halfway point. I think this week's going to be a good test. Not easy to play in Seattle. Is Washington
Definitely
very good?
They
Nah.
have.
Michael
They have a
Penix.
quarterback that shredded
Yeah.
Michigan State.
Michael Penix.
Yeah, no.
Indiana,
it's not
who's your
a-
legend?
It's not a great matchup for them.
Right.
I mean, Cole.
They haven't won a Pac-12 road game in 22 years.
Oh,
Well, that sounds like
actually
that sounds like
interesting.
that's a problem.
Yeah.
That's an ESPN stat right there.
Right, no, because the last Pac-12 team they played was ASU, and they
Yeah,
lost.
ASU, they
That's
lost.
right.
And then ASU went to
East Lansing and beat them.
Both
Yeah.
off of a field goal.
Yeah, it was like
Go
that was
Sun
like 2 years-
Devils.
that was like-
Go Sun
Yeah, go Devils. Yeah, that was like 3 years ago, right?
It wasn't that long ago. Yeah.
It was like 2018. Maybe?
No, Herm was already the coach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
So that was his first
yeah,
year.
pretty
No, that
recent.
was his first year when they played him here, and the next year they went over there.
I was pretty upset. It was pretty recent.
Great game.
I'm jealous
It was
of all
just
the
a sign.
ASU students getting these good games.
I know, huh?
man. We get
Yeah,
we
Notre
get
Dame,
Northern Arizona.
Notre Dame,
Eastern
Wisconsin,
Michigan,
Michigan
oh,
State,
yeah.
and Missouri.
Hey, but we get the
Oklahoma
pokes.
State
Get the
will come back,
pokes.
yeah.
No pokes.
Yeah,
They play Oklahoma State here this next year. I was actually looking at the future schedules today, and I think we play Mississippi State in a couple.
Mississippi
Senior
State
year, senior year
2024.
for us.
Yeah.
And we got like
You know,
some.
I was hoping to see like I don't know.
Did you look further ahead? There's
Hey,
like
well,
home
you
comes
can-
of LSU.
You can
and
come back
Florida.
home with me and see some real football.
Yeah, I've only seen West Coast football, and there's no 100,000 packed houses. Over
Yeah, you can
here,
come back
so.
to me if you
There's
want.
100,000 empty
Alright.
seats.
Hey,
what does
listen,
Max say? Dress
Oklahoma
like
State
a
had
seat
some
night.
empty
It's
seats
actually
last
dress
week.
like a seat night or dress like a
When
bleacher
it
every
started
day.
raining.
No, before that.
Or was that where the band was supposed to be? Was it at halftime? They
I
showed
don't know,
empty section. That's
but
where
there
the
were
band's
some, there were
supposed to
some
be.
seats that were empty, man. I was disappointed.
What do you mean
Yeah, the
disappointed?
Bucks
We had
did not
like
come out and
we had like
showed up.
62,000 people there.
Out of how many?
Out of 65.
All right, I'm gonna compare that to like let's go to Brendon Stadium. I want to get like 110 in there.
Okay.
We got 93,000 for
Boom,
Sanford
was
last
rocking.
year.
Yeah, so come on, you know.
We are a up and coming. We're not a blue blood program in college football here. Like before, like the
We.
early 2010s. Yeah, Wendy's. That's my team. No, hold on. You don't
Whoa,
understand.
whoa,
I've been going to
whoa.
these games since I was like 7 years old.
Okay,
This is a
my
wheel.
first USC game was at 3 months old, and I could write them off forever.
Yeah, because you watched
That's
them probably
different.
get beat
That's
like
different.
61 to 19.
That's different. Y'all don't understand
No.
Southern football.
Oh,
Y'all
whatever.
Y'all like 15K people there, and they all probably left when you beat Kansas State.
They got there late because of traffic, and then they're leaving early.
And they left in the third quarter like a Dodger game.
Yeah, we were at the ASU game. Not gonna name drop. But some people left like 3 minutes left in the second quarter. I'm like, it's not halftime yet. It's like halftime yet.
No, I try to stay at all the ASU.
You
games
have to
when
go.
I
You have to
get
stay the
end.
entire game. No
60
matter what the
minutes.
score is.
60 minutes,
No matter what
yeah.
the weather is. It's 150 degrees or it's 0 degrees. You're there the entire game. No matter
Light rail's still running after the game, so I'm
Doesn't
gonna leave
matter.
early.
I'll take an Uber.
There's Ubers. I mean, Ubers are all going all the time.
I don't got Uber money. But yeah, okay. Let's say we're off topic.
Next.
Okay. Next up is Baylor. The highest they were ranked was 15. The lowest 19. I think they're in an interesting spot. They obviously lost a close game to BYU. It's kind of more how much you think that loss hurts them. Personally, I'm not gonna lie. I had them near the higher end. I can't remember if I had them at 15 or if I had them at like 16. But I didn't really punish them too much for that BYU loss because
Right.
I think a lot of teams lose.
I think any school in Utah is a tough place to play at
Yes.
and win.
Yes.
If it's
Unless
Salt Lake
it's
or
Southern
Provo,
Utah.
you know, it's
But
a
BYU
hard place
yeah.
to play.
Yes.
So, I think I actually had them on the lower end. I think it's because BYU's receivers were out, right?
Yeah.
I think that's pretty big.
Well, it just shows how good BYU is, though.
Exactly. Well, that too. So it can. I mean, you can look at it from both angles, but I think I'd punish them a little more. But
I had them on the lowest end. I had them at 19 just because so many teams around the 13 to 20 range had statement wins or had a lot of movement. I mean, you look at Kentucky, I had them going from like 20 to 13 because of their quality win. And just a bunch of teams in that like 12 to 13 range, like Florida lost. I had Florida above Baylor just because of what they did in week 1. But I still think Baylor's a great team. I still think they'll be in the Big 12 championship. It hurts me to say it, but I think they'll be in the Big 12 championship against OU.
Caleb already went. Tim Rodriguez, man.
Yeah, I feel like they're still like in the middle. Yes, they lost to BYU with both their receivers out, but I still feel like they're still a good team. They still compete some pretty notable schools, so I feel like I wouldn't worry about them too much. But I don't feel like they're like a top tier team. But I feel like they're in that little like middle margin, and I think they'll be just fine there.
I think I put him in the middle, just because I think that BYU's a good team. I mean, BYU's a good team, like we touched on earlier. It's a hard place to play. I think Baylor's a good team as well, and I think, like we said, I think BYU has a chance to make the playoffs. So why hurt them going on the road? I mean, great for them for scheduling, home and home against each other, and you really can't fault them, man. I know other people had statement wins, but you can't hurt them too much because obviously it was just a great matchup. It's a great game. It was a very close game. I think Baylor easily could have won that game. So you can't really fault them. They had so many chances, but still think they're a good team.
Yeah. Next up, this was our biggest differential. Florida, the highest they were was 17. The lowest 25.
Woo.
I think Florida personally is sort of. I feel like Kentucky and then kind of switched around the 20 mark because like I said, Kentucky's a great team. They're a solid team. I think they're the third best team in the SEC East. And Mark Stoops has done wonders for that program. So I think Florida it was a good loss. Obviously, I can say good loss, but I think they're still kind of in the mix. They're in the top 45, sure.
Yeah, I would say the same. I had them at 17. What did you say the highest was?
The highest was 17.
You won. Yeah, I had
I think I had them there too because I wanted to keep them above Utah. I think that was kind of my thought process.
Right.
Yeah. Again, like Cooper said, they lost to a very good Kentucky team. Like, that defense is crazy, I feel like. And, yeah, I feel like they'll be fine. They do have some tests coming up they go to Tennessee. And then that, I feel like, will be a really good game.
It will be.
Anthony Richardson and Hendon Hooker. But I'd I'd say I'd low-key put them in the middle too. I feel like they're not like those upper echelon teams, but they're clearly not like the bottom. I don't feel like they're a bottom team. I feel like they can beat other teams that are ranked lower than them. So I feel like where they have them ranked right now, where is it? 18?
18, yeah.
I feel like that's a good place to put them.
Yeah, it's a good
for now,
spot.
And we'll see where things go from there.
The Associated Press and I agreed on this one. Actually, I put them at 18 in my poll, and I just think I'm thinking of it more from like what would the AP poll do? They lose to the 20th ranked Kentucky Wildcats. That's a loss that's going to drop them 5 or 6 spots. It's still going to keep them in the hunt per se at 18 because if you went out at 11-1 and go to the conference title, then you can have a couple things go your way and still find your path to the CFP. And I thought that's what the AP did, and that's what I wanted to try and do with mine because I think there's a way. I know Georgia's a fantastic team, but there's a way being at a neutral site that you can maybe compete and even lose and still get respect.
That's funny.
Raps the Georgia fan.
That's funny. That's cute.
I think I actually have Florida on the lower end. For me, in Utah's case, I think Utah's very good, and to play in the swamp is not easy.
Yeah.
I kind of still don't know where Utah's at, if I'm being completely honest. I don't know if they're just like still the college football playoff team some people still hope they are, or if they're actually kind of had a decline from last year. I just need to see more from Utah to kind of understand that Florida win. I think they got not handled, but Kentucky did their thing against Florida.
Handled, yeah.
So that's why I think I put them on the bottom end because I was like, I want them to prove they can kind of work their way back up before I just kind of like drop them a couple spots. So I think that was my reasoning. I'm kind of rethinking it now, but it's kind of like a chain reaction thing. I want to see more from Utah to understand where Florida's at. Obviously, this is Kentucky, so like, I just need to get a better understanding where everybody's at. I'm still kind of wondering why I put them at the bottom, but I honestly couldn't tell you.
Can we also talk about Florida's schedule? 6 of their first 7 games are at home. They don't play. Plus Georgia's a neutral site and it's in Jacksonville, so that's not really a road game. They're not really traveling until like November. That's ridiculous. They don't just hand it to them.
Yeah, they play at College Station, and they play at home versus South Carolina, then at Vandy, and then at FSU, but it's still
At
same
Vandy.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
They needed the Kentucky win. Like that would have been when you have that home schedule, you got to capitalize on it.
Yeah.
I think they're going to lose 3 games. I think they're going to lose to Tennessee, and I think they're going to lose Georgia.
I think they might lose to Florida State.
A&M's even.
I think they
might lose to Florida State.
Yeah, I think they really needed this one badly.
They have a bunch of
I know. I definitely think so, and I think that's why. I think that was part of the reason why I dropped them. It was like that was a big win you needed. That was what you needed.
They needed that win.
Yeah, Tennessee on the road, and you got Georgia,
And-
which I'm sorry, I don't think they're gonna compete with Georgia.
Nope, not happening.
There's a difference in there's a difference in competing with someone and competing with Georgia. Competing with Georgia could be 20 points.
Right. They might do that.
Yeah.
We destroyed
It's
them
like,
last. We destroyed them last couple of years and felt great.
And I feel like if Anthony Richardson put up this performance against the Kentucky defense, the Georgia defense is better.
Texas A&M even.
Tennessee defense is.
Tennessee's defense sucks. I'm just saying it right. They're terrible. I'm sorry.
There you go.
All right.
I'm literally taking
Hey,
That shut me up. That shut me up.
Sorry,
That shut me up.
It's
Now
not-
I'm not gonna pick a fight.
The
with
SEC has spoken.
I was literally gonna say Tennessee-Florida game over. Like I don't know what the over under is gonna be, but over 100%. It probably hasn't come out yet.
No,
I guarantee
no.
you it will. I think it might be even in 80s.
Like old school Big 12.
Yeah, like
Okay.
8. Well, think about Tennessee's offense. They run the hurry up offense. They could score 21 points in the first quarter by
Oh, yeah.
themselves.
That's true.
Okay, so Team Florida beat in week 1. Utah, highest was 13th, lowest was 18th. I personally was on the low end. I think Utah is very good, but like I said with Florida, I wanted. It's early in the year, so right now I do really value head to head when there's been like 2 games. So I wanted to keep Florida above them because Florida earned that win against Utah.
Right.
I think they'll be good. I think they'll be fine. I think they will end up in the top 10. I think with their schedule, they will end up in the playoff conversation because I think they beat USC at home when that happens. So I think they'll be fine. But I did have them at 18.
I agree with that.
I think, like you said, obviously Utah on the lower end of the spectrum because Florida, they lost Florida, and you got to put them ahead. And also they played Southern Utah. Southern Utah not very good, so.
The Thunder
70
Brendons.
on.
They got angry.
They were angry.
Not saying Utah's out of it yet, probably, but I think
It's
you got to
not
put them at the
pushing.
lower.
It's
end of
tough.
the
Upset
spectrum.
alert in
Yeah.
Tempe. That's what I'm saying.
Upset alert in
To me, it's gonna be a great atmosphere. I can tell you that, but it'll probably leave at halftime.
I totally think ASU could pull off a Utah win.
Problem is, you got to make sure the students are there past halftime.
Okay, yeah.
No, they
It's a
will
big
be.
game.
Utah,
It's a
they will
big
show
game.
up. They're gonna show
Okay,
up.
but we'll get that. We'll get to that later. I'll get to that.
Off the record.
That's already. Yeah, it's off the record. That's another week from now. But I don't know. I'm putting Utah on upset alert in Tempe because Tempe's a pretty magical place. You know, all right, Notre Dame. You get a Notre Dame game, Oregon.
Yeah, that was when we were ranked. We were ranked back then.
Yeah, you know.
Oh yeah, we were like going
That was the Todd
We were
Graham
not
era.
top
Yeah.
4. We were 15.
15. No,
Or Brock Osweiler was our quarterback.
We haven't been top 4 since like 2007 when everyone was losing, and being number 2 was like
We haven't-
just another day at the office.
Yeah, I don't think we've been that good since we won the Rose Bowl against Nebraska in the 90s.
Oh my.
Oh yeah, and that still gets brought up from time to time.
You
That
have
was
to.
at, what,
This-
1999 before then.
Later than that.
I don't know. There's pretty good
Before
Arizona
that.
State teams.
Oh, yeah.
I think it was early 90s, but
There was some
Terrell
talent.
Suggs era, Taylor Kelly era was pretty good.
Brock Osweiler.
The Brock Osweiler era was
Osweiler.
okay. The Mike Bercovici era was not bad either.
Ooh,
There you go,
But,
sprinkle.
you know.
Jail Mary.
Yeah,
Jay
I
was
was at that game. That was crazy.
Jake
but-
Plummer.
Jake Plummer. Yeah, my dad does not like Jake Plummer. But
Go Jake Plummer.
He's a USC fan. We don't talk about those.
Great days.
Oh my
It's
god.
great days. There you go.
BP, did you guys talk about Utah?
Oh, I had Utah about middle of the pack. I think they were 15 or 16. And I'm more on the end of honoring the head-to-head
Yes.
when we get to the CFP. Like
Oh.
when we get closer to the conversation, because the CFP obviously didn't do that last year with the places they were putting Michigan State, Ohio State, with all the mess that caused last year. But I think Utah and Oregon, the two contenders for now, contenders in parentheses, or in air quotes, I mean, in the Pac-12, they got angry. Both of them scored 70 plus this week. Now, granted, they're playing FCS teams, but still, putting up 70 on anybody is an accomplishment in itself
Yeah.
nowadays.
Are you going?
Yeah, I'll say yeah, I'm pretty sure I had them on the higher end at 13. I feel like they're fine. I feel like they're kind of still on like the upper echelon of those teams, like in the top 10, but like the bottom half of the top 10, I feel like is where they should be at, where they're going to be at. And yeah, like you said, they put up 70 points, that's crazy against anyone. I feel like their offense is pretty good. Their defense, I'm not quite sure how their defense is going to pan out, but I feel like if their offense keeps rolling, I feel like they'll be fine.
I know we're not talking about this team, but I'm gonna bring them up because you scored a lot of points. We're talking about 73 points. LSU, I know they played Southern. They scored 28 points in the first 7 minutes of the game.
Jaden Daniels era, folks.
No.
28 points in the first 7 minutes again. That's hard to do for anybody.
Yeah.
That's hard to do for anybody. That's a lot of points. So there you go.
Now, granted, I don't think Southern has really been good at football in even our parents'
It's
lifetime,
all.
but still.
I mean, with Southern, it's all about the bands. I mean, with the HBCUs, they take so much pride in their band.
But
That's-
they've had some good footballs like Jerry Rice, Mississippi Valley State, Deion, Jackson State. Those were some high quality teams that
Oh, absolutely.
would have made some noise. in
Jackson State
FCS.
will be good.
Oh yeah,
They will be good. They got Travis Hunter now, so that's a big
Good
addition to their squad.
fantastic.
Shout out
program.
Collins Hill High School, by the way. There you go.
Ooh, okay.
Here we go. So, all right, my thoughts on Utah. I think they're fine. Had them at 15. I think they go on the road. No, they play San Diego State at home. I think they're fine. I have them on upset alert in Tempe.
Road game.
Go Sun Devils.
You know, they play Oregon State at home, at UCLA. Dude, I don't know if you guys have seen UCLA's crowd, but that
It was like the
Bad again.
worst ever.
Yeah, I
They had
think-
like 2,600
I think,
people
yeah,
there.
That'll be like throwback to high school crowds when they play at UCLA.
It's like an open
I think I think they beat USC at home, especially from what I kind of saw from the USC defense this past week.
Utah doesn't lose at home, bro. Even when they're not like.
Well, even every
elite,
time they've played USC at home. Maybe one exception, but I think they've like undefeated against USC at home.
I want to see Alabama go to Salt Lake City. Or like somebody like top 5.
Dude, the must
is for real,
legit.
bro.
There's a reason why they have the must on their helmets. They are legit. So I think Utah's fine. I think they pretty much win out. I think besides one exception. I think they went out besides one exception.
Tempe, yeah.
So
if it's not Tempe, it's gonna be
To
SC.
be in for,
Maybe no. Oh, okay. Actually, hold on. I just
Gotta make
realized
right
they
now.
play at Oregon. When you're playing at Eugene,
We'll see how Bo Nix. We'll see how that
Dude,
pans out.
it's
Bo Nix. That's all I'm gonna say right now.
Alright. It says the SEC has spoken once more. But I don't know. Playing in Eugene isn't ever easy. But for the most part, I think they pretty much went out. They'll be fine.
Go Dan.
I really don't know. I don't know yet if they're as good or better than the last year's team. I need to see more from Utah in order to understand where they're at. But yeah, as of what I've seen right now, I think they
You know what's gonna be electric is when they do the 12-team playoff and they got a campus site. If they play at Salt Lake City, bro, that would be insane.
I'm so excited.
The only thing
the only thing for them would be though is they would they be able to get them without winning the conference championship though is the only thing, because top 5 conference champions are obviously guaranteed, but if they don't win the conference championship, they have one loss. Who's that loss to? So that'd be tough. But just saying, down the road.
Last one, Texas. Highest ranked was 19. Lowest ranked was not at all.
Anthony, better get this one on video right here.
Somebody did not have them ranked?
Correct.
I didn't have them ranked.
Oh, there it is.
Horns always down.
Since the Oklahoma native, I didn't have them ranked.
Hey, Oklahoma State fan. I'm not an OU fan. Get
They're
that.
still from the same Panhandle state.
Pan. Okay, that's
Tee him up. Tee him up. Tee.
That's ridiculous.
So, yeah.
It's like saying you're from
no.
LA and you're a UCLA fan. You over there.
Oh no! That's like saying you're from LA when you're from Orange County. No offense to my Orange County natives in the back.
Oh, Texas.
but
honestly,
wait, where is? Texas?
Oh, you didn't.
Oh no! I'm at 19. I'm at 19.
Okay, I was like, oh.
Dude.
Yeah.
I mean, I know they were at home, but they played really well against Bama.
Yeah.
Really well. And Bama is going to be
Majority
in the,
without.
I don't think they was that good.
I think they're not as good as they were last year, but I think they still get in the playoff.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, they're going to be in the playoff. I don't think they're as good as last year.
You know the committees.
Oh yeah, they are rolling tide. All right, but all right, but yeah, I think Texas deserves to be in the top 25. I think they haven't broken top 15. I was gonna make them jump all the way to the top 15, but
You can't with a loss.
yeah.
I'm gonna be real here.
Oh, BP just got on.
I know. I don't even remember my top 25 poll. I don't even remember what I had. The last couple teams we've done, I don't even remember where I ranked them.
But you had them ranked.
But I did have them ranked, maybe like around the 20s, maybe. I know they were ranked because I thought Texas A&M put up a really good fight against Alabama. Because whenever
Texas
Alabama
A&M.
goes on the road, no, I said Texas.
I heard it.
Well, it's fine. Because usually Alabama goes, plays some road game and
They're never gonna play a road game again. It's a good team.
right, and they usually just obliterate people. And at the beginning of the season, they got the best players in the country. But I feel like the last couple times that Texas has played against SEC teams, they played really well. And the last time they did was against LSU, and it must be Joe Burrow and that fantastic team. So you can't hurt Texas. You can't hurt Texas for losing that game. They played really well. I know you're going to be, blah, blah,
Just
blah,
wait,
whatever.
just wait.
But
21.
20. Oh, yeah, I had the 21. I thought Texas played really well. Because I know Alabama. I know how good they are. I know how tough they are to beat.
Oh, you know.
I know. But we finally did it. But yeah, there you go. I want to hear what BP has to say about this one.
I had them at NR, not rated, because you know what? It's not beat 62 to 55 by TCU or Baylor. And when they lose to Kansas later in the year, it's not even gonna matter. They're not.
So you think
bad.
they're big frauds?
You gotta take it week by week.
They're not bad.
Yeah, you gotta take it week by week.
I know you gotta take it week by week, but I'm looking at the bigger picture here. They're a 1-1 team. I know they played Alabama, but I'm thinking from the preseason poll. If I was looking at it, the preseason poll didn't exist, I'd put Texas in the top 25.
Okay.
But I'm basing it off of preseason poll and the movement of the team and the fluctuation of the teams there. But again, I don't think they're back because they're going to get in the Big 12. They're going to lose 2 or 3 games they shouldn't. They're going to lose to K-State. They're going to lose to Kansas. They're going to lose to all these like just mid Big 12 teams. And actually, I'm very high on Kansas State this year. But
Dude's fun.
they're gonna lose some games they don't need to, and they're gonna finish like 8-5.
We're not Sam Ellingering this and saying we're back. Okay, Texas isn't
They
back.
always
yet.
say
No.
that. They always say that.
When Ewers was healthy,
Yeah, okay,
Maybe.
yeah, but like
He's
Hudson,
not-
No.
Hudson
But
Card scored like 7
one
points.
win cannot just be able to say we're back.
if it's against
Like,
Alabama,
You can. You
Is-
can say,
is-
if
you
it's
can
against
say,
Alabama.
I'm sorry.
No,
I still don't.
They didn't
say
finish the
that.
job.
They hold your hand
No,
for a
I'm saying
second.
if they
They hold
hold
your
your
hand. It can't.
he's like just
It
accept
can't.
it.
Trust me.
I don't know.
If you beat Alabama, it doesn't matter what happens the rest of the season. Great season. Great season.
How long is Quinones out for? I didn't know.
6 to 8
4
weeks.
weeks.
That's Prescott.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's
Another issue in Texas, so we don't need to talk.
I don't want to talk about Prescott right now.
Are you a Cowboys fan?
Yeah.
You not know that?
That's embarrassing.
Okay, get out of here.
Your Rams are gonna lose the
Super Bowl
Falcons.
hangover. Super Bowl hangover. I didn't want to
Let's
hear
go.
it.
Has everybody gotten their thoughts in on
Yeah.
Texas?
Yes. We need
It
to
is
move on.
confirmed 4 to 6 weeks he's out.
4 to 6.
Put it on record. Put it on the film
Clavicle
camera.
sprain.
I want everybody
AC
watching to
joint.
remember this.
It's not his AC.
Yeah,
joint.
we're gonna come back to this.
They're gonna screenshot this on social media. They're gonna at me and say, "Where you at, bro? You're not saying too much."
Honestly, I think Texas can ride this momentum into like the rest of the season and be like.
I think so.
I don't think they will though. Not
It's a
without-
long
not without
road.
Quinn
I'm
Ewers.
not saying that
Watch college
they're
football.
like going to. I'm just saying it can happen.
It can. No, it
2005.
can.
You know.
2005.
Oh yeah.
Time for the pick'em.
Whoa, we skipped one. Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, we did.
That's
good.
important.
Good
That's
eyes.
important. We need to look.
Okay,
we need to look
Stick.
this up.
Are we talking about Georgia? Is that why
No,
it's important?
No.
Okay, stay.
What will Notre Dame's record be in their next 3
Oh,
games?
fantastic.
The next 3 games. Are
And their
really
next
good
3
schedule.
games,
Okay,
All
yes.
right, we're looking at
they
this
have
right now.
They have Cal at
North
home.
Carolina.
Okay.
They're playing Berkeley at home.
Yes,
So
but then
random.
North Carolina on the road, and then at BYU. What do they go in those next 3 games?
1
1 and
Personally,
2.
I got
Yeah, 1 and 2.
1 and 2.
One.
I think
and
they
two.
beat, I think they beat Cal and then lose to UNC and BYU.
UNC will be close.
Yeah, I think so
It'll be a
too.
good game, I think.
UNC will be like
It'll be a good.
overtime,
It'll be a good
one
close
possession.
game, but it won't be a good game because both teams are not
That
good.
is so random.
Sure.
playing
It'll be like
Cal.
20 to 17, and it'll be a field
I feel
goal.
like
for
I-
them.
They're an independent. You gotta feel like this.
No, I know. I just feel like I've never like, hey, Notre Dame's playing Cal this week. That's just weird.
They did-
I know they always play
They
Stanford.
load with some Pac-12s from year to year recently. It's not like Army and Navy where they're playing Delaware and Villanova every other week. That's who Army plays Villanova this week.
And Navy lost
And
to
Navy
Delaware
lost to
State.
Delaware.
They didn't know Villanova had a football team.
They're FCS.
I didn't know that. I just didn't be on this podcast, but I don't like.
By the way,
Hey, one of the
Villan-
Gillespie brothers is gonna be a quarterback.
Villanova's FCS for football.
Oh, maybe that's
Oh,
right.
really?
Yes.
For good reason.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't
Until
just be
Bears.
FCS. Yeah. They're gonna go 1
I
and
think-
2. I think we can all agree.
No, I think they go 2 and 1.
You think they beat
Who
UNC?
they beat? UNC.
Yeah, because
I think so.
Matt
BYU
Brown will
won't.
choke.
I think
I think they
I
can
could
definitely- UNC's a toss-up,
I
in
can
my
realistically see them go. It's going to be a coin flip. I think that UNC game's either going to make them go 1 and 2. Or
Well,
2 and
next week we're gonna talk about that game.
So
They gotta
now-
get past Cal first.
They do gotta pass.
Golden Bears.
Hal Berkeley.
So the standings in the pickup so far, tied for first are Cooper and Evan, both 19-5.
It's alright.
I'm sitting at 18-6. Caleb's sitting at 17-7, and BP has a clean slate at 0-0.
He's leading. He has no losses.
No losses.
Making his pass interference podcast pick'em debut, and
So he's gonna have the lead after this week, pretty much no matter what.
Unless I just absolutely just go on a cold streak.
He's got an asterisk if he wins this. 'cause
yeah,
he picked
we'll
two
figure
less
out
weeks.
how to like fairly add in BP,
We'll
but
do percentages.
If Texas wins out, you're screwed though.
You're gonna lose.
We'll
that.
take it week by week.
Oh, now you want to take it?
Yeah,
No, just in
yeah,
pick.
yeah.
Just in pick.
No.
Just in
so first game, Florida State at Louisville. Sorry.
Louisville. I'm gonna go Florida State. Obviously, we did that little soundbite. I talked about how good Florida State is. 515 yards of total offense per game. That's pretty tough. I know Malik Cunningham is a very difficult quarterback to go up against, but Florida State's just been playing pretty well this season so far, and I think it's gonna be tough, even though they're going on the road.
Yeah, I'll probably say the same thing. I'm going to go with FSU, but I feel like Malik Cunningham is a stud. He's like literally Lamar Jackson 2.0 is what I think of him.
From the same place.
He's
In the same place, and he's a dual threat QB. I feel like he has to come up big in this game if they want to win, which I don't think he's going to be able to, so that's why I'm going to pick Florida State.
Even though early in the season Louisville is the self-proclaimed kings of the Friday night games, I still don't see a way that they beat Jordan Travis and FSU. Give me the Noles.
All I gotta say is, if you're Louisville, you gotta show up. You're playing at home, and I don't know. I feel like Louisville's a pretty good place to play. Like you said,
It's okay.
they're playing on Friday night, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Always.
I mean, they shocked UCF last Friday.
It's probably my upset of the week.
Ooh.
I always pick an upset.
Is that your lock of the week?
No,
You
no,
gotta
no.
get-
Nah, he's not going that
Not
far.
my lock of the week. But no, I always try to pick an upset of the week. And I don't know, Friday night in
Friday night lights.
Friday night at
Kentucky.
Louisville. I don't know if you're Louisville right now.
There you go, that's
you gotta
exactly.
lock in. All right, you gotta strap up. If you're Malik Cunningham, it's a big week for you.
Oh,
if,
yeah.
if you're Kendrick Duncan, like their leading tackler right now, you gotta lock in.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
you gotta lock in. You have Florida State at home. I think they're breaking out some new jerseys on
Yeah,
you.
black unis.
You know,
Ooh.
no, I think Florida State's breaking out some new jerseys this week.
Oh, they
I could be
are
wrong.
all white.
Yeah.
Oh, are they
So-
wearing those ice white helmets?
So
Yeah.
you know
Oh,
they're
those are
bringing
good.
a new jersey. You know they're coming into your house.
Fake
You know
Jews.
wanting to really probably make a statement. If people are double guessing you, but if you're Louisville, you strap up right now and you say let's go. So I got Louisville
Ooh.
in the upset of the week.
All right.
Avoiding the
Second day of
screenshot.
17-8.
I also have Louisville.
Whoa!
I'm not big on the Florida State train. I think beating LSU is more of poor play by LSU than great play by Florida State. I think Louisville played bad week 1, but
They
they looked
played
good
pretty
week
bad.
2. They could have easily. It's week 1. It's not uncommon for a team to just come out flat and unprepared. I think they'll be fine. Home game. It's kind of a toss up in my book, so I'll go with the home team.
Yeah.
And so I got Louisville. Next up, Georgia at South Carolina.
Uh-oh.
Spencer Rattler, is he gonna be the Giant Slayer?
No.
You already know who I'm picking.
No.
Just write it down.
Yeah,
Whoever's
put
typing
down
over
for South
there.
Carolina.
No.
Yeah.
I think Georgia will cover as well.
What's the spread?
24 and a half.
Oh,
Oh
yeah.
yeah. Easy. Yeah, they'll cover.
24 and a half. I know Ethan Kaplan is a big Go Cox fan over there, but Georgia
Just
will
because my
win
best friend goes there.
and cover.
Georgia.
Yeah, Georgia by 30.
Oh, okay.
If you know where Spencer Rattler played before he went to South Carolina, you know I'm not a fan of his. So, I'm going Georgia by. I'm going Georgia 49-7.
49-7.
40 plus on the Georgia train. Give me the Bulldogs.
You think they're scoring 7s?
At the end.
I got Georgia as well. Next up, Oklahoma at Nebraska. This one could be interesting to me. It is a big rivalry game.
Mhm.
It means a lot to those people
Yeah.
in Nebraska, trust me. And you see sometimes with teams, especially I see a lot at the professional level because that's when you have a lot of mid-season firings. For whatever reason, that game after their coach gets fired, they play well.
Yeah.
I was thinking the same thing. I think after your coach gets fired, after everybody's just been like, okay, get him out of here. Now what can you do?
Right, exactly.
Right now, what can you do, Nebraska? You know, nobody's really holding you back now.
Right.
With that being said, I think Oklahoma pulls it out, but I think it'll be like another one possession game, like what Nebraska is used to. Even though Scott Frost isn't there, I think that one possession game curse will stick with them for a little bit. And I think Oklahoma wins by a touchdown.
Yeah, I also think Oklahoma is going to win. This is obviously, it's not my lock of the week. It's interesting betting here. Oklahoma -11. That's a tough line. I would stay away from that. I think maybe if you're going to take it, maybe Oklahoma +11. I'm not telling you should take that, but I think it'd be close. But I think Oklahoma will end up winning this game. I think Oklahoma has a chance to make college football playoff.
Yeah.
Me personally, because I think Dylan Gabriel in that offense is really good.
Yeah, I'd say the same. I got Oklahoma, but I feel like they're gonna win more comfortably than you guys think. I feel like they'll win by at least 2 touchdowns in this one.
See that Oklahoma's going to cover.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oklahoma, they're an interesting team. I mean, last week it took them 29 minutes and 30 seconds to score on Kent State. I mean, Kent State. What are we doing? But anyway, Nebraska, Scott Frost gone. Like you said earlier, Preco, every time after firing, guys are motivated. Even though even though it's making it sound like I'm going to pick Nebraska, I'm picking Oklahoma. It's probably going to be about a 10.
Probably want to
13
stab
point game.
yourself, right?
Yeah, no, I'm definitely just gritting my teeth saying that, but I'm going with OU.
Say that again.
No, just make your pick.
No, I got Oklahoma by 2 possessions, whether it be a field goal or a touchdown. They cover or they don't. But yeah, I think Nebraska's gonna be fired up this week. I think that's gonna be a true sellout crowd.
Okay.
And I think they have a chance to rush in the field, but no, I think Oklahoma wins by 2 possessions.
It'll be interesting. I think it could be close. But BP was touching on them earlier.
Yes,
The Kansas Jayhawks traveling to Houston, a team who has disappointed
Henry
so far this
dominate.
year, and Kansas, who has looked good. I think it's an interesting matchup.
Very much so.
And I think Kansas gets the win.
I know.
I don't think Houston's been
wow.
impressive. I think nobody thinks Kansas is good just because it is Kansas. But when you look at it, they have talent. They've put up good numbers. So I got Kansas.
I would want to take Kansas, but I think Houston's going to win because I think Kansas. I mean, obviously they have 2 wins, but they've been playing pretty bad teams. Obviously they have lost to some pretty bad teams. Obviously going to Morgantown and winning is pretty impressive, but I'm gonna take Houston still, just because it's home game for them. It's one of those toss-ups, and Houston just happens to be the home team, so I'm going with Houston.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Houston as well. I feel like this is kind of like Kansas' first test this year, and I feel like they just won't have it in them, and I feel like Houston's gonna come out and beat them, and that Kansas, like, they're not gonna be as bad as they are usually, but I feel like they still will like be like kind of an average team, I'd say. So I feel like Houston's gonna come out and win this one.
Houston's looked really poor in both their first 2 games. They took UTSA. They played both overtime games this year.
Yes.
By the way. They took UTSA to triple or 4.
Yeah, triple overtime.
Triple? It was 3?
Yep.
And then Texas Tech last week, double overtime. And, Clayton Tune, he's a quarterback with a lot of experience. And this was a coin flip for me. I really, really, really want to pick Kansas because my boy goes to KU. But I think I got to go with the Cougars there, especially at home. I got to go with Houston.
Well, I guess
Go
we'll keep picking them.
Jayhawks. Go Jayhawks. I love when Kansas is good because it's just so random. Like,
2007.
You and Henry dominate on the same
It's
train.
about the last time they
don't
were
I
crap.
will change my pick right now, but no offense, Henry. But yeah, let's go Jayhawks.
Okay.
Next up, BYU at Oregon.
Oh,
BYU,
tough game.
known for being great at home. Oregon has just a massive question mark on them for me. I don't know if they're good. I don't know if they're bad. I don't know what's going on there. I mentioned earlier, I think BYU is going to win out or come very close to winning out. I think BYU is going to go into Oregon and win. I just don't really trust Oregon right now.
I think Oregon's going to win solely for one reason, is because I think BYU's coming off a very emotional win last week against Baylor, very tough opponent. And I think they're just going to be worn out from last week, plus having to travel on the road to Oregon, tough place to play. And I think Dan Lanning really wants to right the ship after what happened against his former team, Georgia, in Week 1. So I'm going to go with the Ducks I'm not really gonna call it an upset, but I'm gonna go with the Ducks.
I'm gonna go with BYU, but I feel like it's gonna be a really, really close game. I'm looking at my crystal ball right now. Oregon's gonna be on the offensive end, BYU's gonna be on the defensive end, and Bo Nix is gonna make a very crucial play to hurt these Ducks. And BYU is gonna end the game.
Yeah, it wouldn't be the first time he's made a bad play.
Definitely. That's what's gonna happen again. So I feel like BYU is gonna.
He might hurt himself with that play. You never know about Nix.
You're right.
So I'm going BYU Cougars.
BYU.
Oregon, like you said, Preco, they had a rough game against the Bulldogs. They came back and scored 70. And you said BYU coming off that win. There's the thing, though. They don't party in Provo, so I don't think there's going to be any.
Well, but the students aren't. The students in the student section aren't the one going out there and doing the playing.
I don't think either of them are partying too much. The boys and girls in Provo ain't doing a whole lot of that. I think BYU gets it done on the road. They've had 2 impressive wins to start this season, and I think they just take it to Oregon, who's kind of a up in the air team after these first 2 contests.
I got Oregon. I gotta go Cooper. I think a lot of people still forget how tough of a place Autzen Stadium is to play. And I think that Oregon faithful really know what's on the line here. Because if they lose bad, then I think you kind of write off Oregon this year, and enough of the Pac-12 championship talk. But if they win, then that kind of okay, we're okay.
We're rolling.
We're rolling, exactly. So, in the past couple years, where has BYU played that's pretty crazy in terms of crowd? Can you guys think off the top of your head?
No, we're gonna have to hear our stats.
Have they played in South Bend recently? I feel like they have.
We didn't have statisticians.
I mean,
They played it this year.
They've played at UW. So that's but I.
Okay.
I went there.
They won by a
for
field goal.
I went to our statistician.
I went to the ASU game in UW last year. It
I'm
was
pretty
just
sure they won by a field
freezing
goal.
cold.
Recent BYU schedule.
Recent good games on the road for
We'll get back. We'll
get back to that. But either
We'll get
way,
back to that.
I still think Autzen Stadium is a tough place to play, and I think.
Plus, how can you put a question mark on Oregon? I mean, I know the question mark, but tough game 1, man. They go all the way across country, play a really good team.
I don't know. For me, there's still quite a little bit of a question mark, but I think just Autzen Stadium as a Pac-12, as a kind of a Pac-12 guy, it's a tough place to play, especially if the Oregon fans know what they're rooting for, they're gonna make it a tough place to play.
Yeah.
It's also an early kick, by the way.
It is, but
BYU plays most of the games at night. So
Right.
it'll be interesting to see how they do during a day
so
game.
I think I got Oregon. I'm gonna have to go with Cooper Burns here.
That's a good call.
Kellen Moore owned Autzen Stadium.
You say the same thing about Matt Barkley. Yeah, I'm not gonna do that.
Okay.
He just likes Kellen Moore because he's Cowboys offense.
I love Kellen Moore.
So
Two other Cowboys
last
fans.
year, okay, I'll just nail off something that I think are pretty big. We had them playing against Baylor, which they lost 3
Right.
games.
At Baylor?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they had that. Yeah, they lost.
game.
They
Yeah, I think offense is
USC last year.
At home or away?
I'm not a USC fan, so I'm
At the Coliseum.
that was like a 20,000.
that's
not a good
fan.
environment.
Not a good
20,000
environment.
tickets sold.
That was last year in 2021.
Okay.
So,
2020 doesn't count.
2020 now doesn't count?
No,
No.
because nobody's playing there.
Because
Because the fans.
COVID year.
Yeah, I just looked at
Yeah, if you were in the South.
Well, then
Oh yeah,
They
no,
would've
no,
been
I think it's good. I
restrictions.
think it's good. No, they haven't.
We didn't
played
have
Okay,
full stadium.
okay.
lethal environment.
In 2019, second week of the season, they played at Tennessee and went to 2 overtimes.
I
They won
remember
by
that
3.
game.
Ooh.
I don't know. That's 3 years ago.
Go
though.
Cougs!
Okay, well then we're not.
Neyland
gonna-
Stadium?
At Baylor is what you're looking for though.
I still think Autzen Stadium is worse than Baylor.
I don't agree with that.
Kellen Moore went there and won.
That's fine.
Fresh.
It's fine. Agree to
That's
disagree.
fine, that's fine.
Yeah, agree to disagree.
That's fine.
Just give
It's
me
okay.
give me the Ducks.
Yeah, we're on the same page.
Fair
We're on
enough.
the same page there.
Speaking of tough environments,
Yeah.
the toughest environment this weekend is gonna be at Auburn. Penn State.
Yeah, I
at
agree.
Auburn.
I think it's gonna be a great game.
Penn State is actually surprisingly still favored by 3.5, despite it being
3.5?
at Auburn. 3.5,
Is it 3.5 now?
or 3.5. Wow,
It was 3.
I
Big
thought
Ten
earlier I
SEC.
saw 3.5.
Did
I
it
could
go
be-
up?
I could
It
be
is
wrong.
3.
That's
Thank
3.
God.
It's under the radar for sure.
But I was kind of surprised to see Penn State favored in that because I think Auburn's not ranked, but I don't think they're far out from that discussion, and it is Auburn.
That's a packed house, man.
That is.
Oh yeah. That's a tough place
Auburn.
to play.
I got Auburn.
I got
You have
Auburn.
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 I have Penn State. And that's my lock of the week. Penn State.
Really?
Because the thing about this, if they they win, worst you can do pretty much is a push because they're not going to win by safety, and they're probably not going to win by 1. So I've got Penn State -3 just because Brian Harsin really hasn't been a very good coach. TJ Finley's not great as a quarterback. I mean, I know it was a good game last year, but I know it's going to be rocking. It's going to be rocking, but I mean, Penn State should be used to that. They play in one of the toughest environments themselves.
You're right.
Happy Valley.
So how could they? I mean, obviously on offense, they're in the Big Ten. They play at Ohio State. They play at all these other places.
Yeah, I think
It's
Cooper just
not-
changed my mind.
I think it's not going to be that tough. I mean, I know SEC is tough. When you're going like Horseshoe, the Big House, I mean that's equally as tough as going to Auburn. So I'm going to go with Penn State. That's my lock of the week. We're putting that on social media. Penn State -3. Lock it in.
Yeah, I got Penn State too then.
And it's live.
I feel like this is such a toss-up game, so I'm gonna do what Cooper's done with the last 2 weeks. I'm gonna do a little heads or tails. So
All right. heads
Which
or
one's
tails.
which?
No, he doesn't tell
Head-
us.
heads or tails.
tails. It's tails. Okay, which one was that?
It's
All right,
tails.
it's tails. So I got Auburn.
You got Auburn. There you go. That's a very efficient way to make it.
I did that last week.
Did that last week?
And it worked out.
Well, Cooper and I were talking about this game earlier this week. Auburn, they played San Jose State very closely last
home.
week. At home, too. Which, I mean, if the Spartans can go in there and almost win that game, I gotta go with the Nittany Lions.
It's true.
Man. I gotta go with Penn State.
Penn State.
You picking Penn State?
I'm
Right, you changed your mind.
Yeah, going with the Nittany
You
Lions.
did bring up good points, but I'm sticking with them.
Alrighty then. All right. Well, you two. We'll see.
Next up.
Feels for you. Not just because I hate Auburn. I just think Penn State's
Is
good.
SC Fresno State on this list?
Yes.
Okay, State.
Okay.
Liberty
Is
at
it-
Wake Forest.
It's also possible to have a
Ooh,
second
wait,
lock
Clemson
because
at
I have
Wake
another.
Forest?
I got another
Yeah.
we might not talk about.
Oh, Liberty.
Until
I
later.
got Wake.
Interesting.
Liberty at Wake Forest. I thought it was interesting. I don't think this Liberty team is as good as they've been
Oh,
for the last few years.
No, yeah.
Give
But
me
I
Wake
think it's
Forest.
still-
Give me the Forest.
Yeah. Give me the Demon
Yeah,
Deacons.
You can give me Wake Forest too.
I personally am also on Wake Forest. I think Hartman would be good.
Yeah, Sam Hartman's going to be hungry. I'm going with the Demon Deacons.
Yeah, 100%. I think we're all going Demon Deacons.
Yeah.
I think that's a clean sweep.
Yeah,
Is that a first
Sweet.
sweep? First
Yeah,
sweep?
it's sweet.
Oh, it's not.
No, it's not.
Oh no, Jordan.
No, Georgia. We have one other.
Oklahoma.
And
Liberty's
Oh, yeah.
Liberty's going
We're
to bring
favored by
that back.
24 and a half. It's got to be a clean sweep.
Next up, Mississippi State at LSU.
Oh man, this is tough.
LSU. I wasn't really impressed with Mississippi State playing Arizona.
What time is that game
I
out?
forgot- What was the final score in that? I don't
It was like
No.
38 to 15.
Yeah, but still, I was like, no, I think LSU should win.
I'm gonna say LSU.
That's my lock of the week.
For what? What is
That's
it?
what I-
LSU over Mississippi State.
Whoa!
Wait, what's the line though? We gotta do lines.
What's-
It's all
what's
about
the
line spread.
What's the spread?
You know I don't gamble.
Well, neither do I.
Because I
What's
was
the
looking
lock
at
of
the
the
spread.
week?
I'm looking at
Cooper, where do you gamble then?
Flip.
Oh yeah, so it's on
Fictional
Facebook,
money.
Yeah.
Fictional
Shout
money.
out Flip Cash.
Please give us a
Shout out Flip Cash.
What's the spread of this game?
2.5
For who? LSU?
minus 2.5 for Mississippi State.
Oh, good.
As
As it should be.
No.
So
no,
you're
no,
taking.
no,
So
no.
you're locking. Who'd you pick?
I'm picking LSU.
So you're taking lock of the
I
week
agree.
minus 2.5 for LSU.
Lock of the
No,
week.
plus
Lock it.
2.5.
Lock it. You gotta do it. Lock it.
Wait,
in.
money line or
No, spread. It's all spread.
Spread. So plus
Spread.
2.5.
Plus
Yeah,
2.5.
spread.
Plus 2.5 is basically money line. But yeah.
Okay. BP, you're up next, son.
Will Rogers has looked fantastic this
Yeah,
year.
yeah,
Just
yeah.
throwing the ball all over the field. The typical Mike Leach air raid offense. I'm going with the Bulldogs. Give me Mississippi State.
I'm gonna agree with Caleb. I'm going with LSU here. I feel like Baton Rouge and their friends are gonna show up for this game. I feel like they'll make it roar. So
I would pick.
LSU.
I would pick LSU if it was a night game.
It is at 3.
It is at
Well, that's 3 for us, 5 for them.
That's
I
like,
would-
wow. No, that ain't no prime time.
Hey, that's not that. If it's like a true night game, like 7 or 8 o'clock, then I pick LSU because I think that's the toughest environment to go anywhere in the country at night. But I'm gonna pick Mississippi State. I mean, Will Rogers, Mike Leach, LSU defense is a little suspect when you get an air raid offense going. Watch out,
They're
buckle
nuts.
up, LSU.
Yeah.
I got LSU. Jaden Daniels.
That's not the reason why for me.
No,
That's
I think it's a tough environment to play in. I don't think Mississippi State is. I think they're a good team, but I don't think they're good enough to go in and beat LSU in that.
I'm curious to see how Jay Daniels does.
I think it'll be a good game.
I watched the Arizona Mississippi State game and I was like, okay. Like I wasn't like, okay, Mississippi State's gonna go into Death Valley and be able. I was like, eh.
Yeah, let's see how Jay Daniels does against SEC defense. I mean, obviously this isn't the best test, but these guys are fast. So let's see.
Just give it a little more time this week, Jaden. Don't just like as soon as you feel it, just start running. Okay, that's all you have to do.
It's not gonna work.
I-
Not gonna work.
There's not going to be time.
My best wishes to Jaden Daniels this weekend.
Well, Mississippi State's not the best defense in the SEC.
It's not, but like when you get further into the SEC.
I want the Cajon High School Jaden Daniels show this week.
Okay, I don't know what that is. Okay.
Texas Tech at North Carolina State.
Wow, okay.
Wait, Texas Tech at NC State?
NC State.
I honestly have no idea for this
Wow.
one.
Me,
I'm gonna say,
good
Texas
contest.
Tech played like, I was like, dude, let's go Red Raiders this last week. After that overtime.
So you said Texas Tech at NC State?
Yes.
What's the line for that, and who's it favored?
NC State's
It's
favored.
probably favored NC State.
Yeah.
I think they're favored by
Alright.
6 or 7.
10.
I'm going for
10.
I'm going with Texas Tech just for the
Texas
sole
check.
Texas Tech
There you go.
just for the sole reason that one of my buddies goes there, so I'm gonna root for Texas Tech.
There you go.
KJ, if you're watching this, I'm going with Texas Tech as my upset of the week.
He's
Lock
giving,
it in.
he's
Lock
giving
it
the
in.
Jack
Say lock
Harlow
it in.
Lock it in.
reasons.
Yep.
Okay.
Shout out KJ.
You're
Yeah.
giving the Jack Harlow game day reasons for picking now.
Yeah, I messaged this girl on Tinder. So I'm picking Cincinnati. I'm picking Cincinnati. I am going with NC State. I think Texas Tech. I mean, like you said, they play really well, but I just think NC State at home. Devin Leary plays a lot better at home than he does on the road. So I'm going NC State. I don't think they're going to cover.
I don't think so.
But I think NC State. I think by 6.
NC State.
Yeah,
I thought
definitely.
you just said Texas Tech.
No, I still like the way they're playing. I thought
Okay.
that week was
Okay.
great. Last week the win was great, but no, I think NC State.
Gotcha.
Yeah, no, NC State. Devin Leary had a big bounce back game
Yes.
last week against, granted it was against Charleston Southern, but that's why you put those games on the schedule. It's a good bounce back, confidence builder for your QB, so give me the Wolfpack.
Yeah, everybody loves a good win against like Northeastern State A&T.
Whoa. North Carolina State A&T.
Oh, sorry.
He's making up.
Okay. I thought you were trying to say. I thought you were trying to say.
I was making up a
North
school.
Carolina A&T.
I was making up
Okay.
a school, you know.
Well, Northeastern State
No,
A&T.
no. Yeah,
If you're out there,
like,
we're sorry.
Everybody loves. I don't know. Give me. What's a good one that we could say? Like, I don't know. I can't think of it.
Rhode Island School of Design. There you go.
Was that
a real school?
Yeah. We'll touch on that after.
Yeah, we
the
don't
podcast.
have to get into that right now.
Dad, if you're watching, I know you know exactly what we're talking about right now. You're the one that showed me.
Yeah.
So,
all my
shout out.
buddies back home know about that.
We're not allowed to put that one on social media.
Yeah.
Anywho, I got NC State.
Shout
I've
out
been talking
NC
trash about them all year, so that means they're gonna win and do good. So I got them.
School of Art and Design.
Golly, man.
Next one that we got up. Michigan State at Washington. I think this will be a very good game. I think this will be one of the best games of the weekend, and I think Washington will beat them.
Wow.
All right, I want to hear what Evan has to say before I go.
Yeah, go
ahead.
Rod.
All right.
You
I
done?
as well got UW. Maybe that's because I'm a little bit UW biased, but
Even
I
though you
also
went to
think,
Washington State.
yeah, even though I did not watch it, the bias is still there, but I still feel like Michael Penix Jr. is a really good QB, and I feel like, I feel like he's going to show up against MSU, so I feel like UW's going to win this game.
Not only is this game going to be good on the field, but off the field, because Robert Griffin III is commentating this game, so you know there'll be a bunch of random words spit out. There'll probably be a weird food item in the booth like there was last week with the Cougar Tails.
Cougar
So,
Tails.
I am going opposite. You guys want Michigan State.
Yeah, Michigan State.
Mel Tucker, I think he's seen a lot of running quarterbacks in the SEC. I don't think it's going to be a very high scoring game, but I'm going Michigan State. Just want to be a little bit different.
What's the
Washington's favorite.
Washington's favorite
by
by
3.
3.5.
Yeah.
So you can't really
Keep
say
it
that's
smarty.
much.
Do you guys all do like locks of the week, or is that just
Yes.
That was just Cooper.
Just me, but if you want,
No, we
to
can make it.
be
We can
my
we can
guest.
do that now.
Be my guest. If
Yeah.
you want
lock
to
of the week, Sparty?
Plus 3.5.
Give me
Plus
Sparty.
3.5.
I'm a Sparty all the way.
Sparty
All the
party.
way.
Big Michigan State.
Michigan State. Yeah.
I have a second lock of the week, but we'll get to that one later.
Next up, Fresno State at USC.
Oh,
this
boy.
is man.
What time is this game?
I have no clue.
Oh, it's at 7:30. I got USD.
That's how they beat
Oh, is it
Alabama.
at A&M?
Yes, at A&M, it's the night game. It's on ESPN.
Isn't A&M favored by like 5.5 in this?
I might add.
Yeah, it's very close, like 6 maybe.
It is 5.5.
All right.
What a great call. There you go. I've got A&M. Evan?
Yeah, I was gonna say Miami, but now that I know that it's at Texas A&M and it's hard to play SEC teams on the road,
Yes, it is.
Just ask
Give
App
me-
State.
yeah, give me Texas A&M in this one.
You can go before me on this one.
I have A&M. I think they
He's
won it
got
out
something on
back.
his sleeve.
Oh, I've got something up my sleeve. All right.
I got A&M.
He's gonna flash it. Put it up. Oh, yeah.
Ah, the U pulls off a big shocker. I'm a big Tyler Van Dyke fan. I
So
think
am I.
Miami gets it done. A tough game. It's a statement win for the U.
And there we go. We'll let, or wait, you have.
I have
another
one.
lock of
I
the
have
week?
one more lock of the week.
Okay.
So, the price initially when I was using Fliff, not real money, fake cash, like paper trading, was 14.5 for Ole Miss at Georgia
yeah,
Tech.
tell me about that.
So I got 14.5, now 16.5, but the 14, Ole Miss minus 14.5 is still minus 135. Still think it's a decent price. Georgia Tech is really bad. They almost lost to Western Carolina at home last week. So, and Ole Miss flies high. So I think Ole Miss could even cover 16.5, honestly.
They should.
They should. So I think that's I'm not going to say that's a lock of the week because I already did another one, but it's like semi-locked. We're halfway there. So I think Ole Miss will crush them.
Is it in Atlanta?
Yes, it doesn't matter.
That's irrelevant.
I think
Yeah, exactly.
did they get as many fans as UCLA did against South Alabama?
And Bowling Green too. Yeah, how about that?
I mean, when we play Georgia Tech at Georgia Tech, it's a home game for us. So there you go.
There we go. We'll let Cooper's semi-lock of the week end it off. So yeah, thanks for listening or watching or however you're accessing the podcast.
Yes.
And we'll see you next week. Say goodbye, Cooper, since you started off.
All right, we will see you next week and enjoy the weekend of college football, everybody. See you next week.